What are you an expert at? If you have a podcast, chances are your show features your area of expertise. But how much do you really know about podcast production? My clients often thank me for making their shows sound great, but in my opinion, the main benefit I provide for all of my production clients is time. Time to do what they are experts at. Time to grow their businesses, time to focus, and not stress out trying to do the technical production work that isn't their area of expertise. If you have a podcast or want to start one and you're ready to save 3 hours or more each week to focus on the stuff you're an expert at, I'd love to do all of your editing, mixing, mastering, and show distribution for you so that you can focus on growing your community and business. You can find out more at emeraldcitypro.com/services. Hello, everybody, and welcome. I'm your host, Danny Osmond. If you love podcasts, if you are passionate about your business, if you want to create and grow a podcast that will connect you with your ideal customers, and you want access to education, to resources, and to other amazing business leaders and podcasters who can help you do it better every single day, then this is the podcast for you. Don't focus on the rock in the road. If you've ever ridden a motorcycle or even a bicycle or a skateboard or whatever, you know that hitting debris in the road can cause a serious accident. Veteran motorcyclists warn that if you see a rock or other debris in the road, whatever you do, don't focus on it because you'll hit whatever you keep your eyes on. Now, this is a powerful principle. You hit whatever you focus on. That's the powerful principle here, and it's not only true when riding a two-wheeler. It's also true in business and in life. This principle has both its good and its bad sides. So let's get the bad side out of the way first. The bad side of focus. Focusing on the rocks in our life and business inevitably causes us to crash. For instance, when we're all consumed with our own faults or those of someone else, that's all we see. That's all we expect. In business, too, focusing exclusively on a problem or obstacle gives it a life of its own that soon overwhelms us. So here's some elements of that. When we focus on problems, weaknesses, excuses, and obstacles, that's what consumes our thoughts. Negative thinking gets us nowhere fast. Fixating on problems makes them loom larger in our minds and does nothing to fix them. Dwelling on the obstacles gives them power, and our worst nightmare becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. What we dread most becomes our experience, and we hear ourselves saying things like, "I knew this would happen." Of course it did. You inadvertently brought it on yourself. But ironically, the very principle that can derail us and get us into so much trouble, focus, also has a very powerful good side to it. So what is the good side of focus? Here are some tips for focusing on the right things that will keep us upright, move us forward, and get us past those obstacles and problems in life. Number 1, focus on solutions, a way out, or a lofty goal. Now, this takes real discipline. Back to the motorcycle analogy. Instead of keeping your eyes on the rock in the road, you have to focus on a clear path next to the rock. It's hard not to focus on the rock, but you must, because wherever you focus, that's where your wheels will take you. This doesn't mean you ignore the problem. You have to take note of it, but you don't let it dominate your thoughts. Instead, you focus on the way around the problem. You focus on solutions and your goals. Now, number 2, magnify the good and positive. No one and nothing is perfect. In your relationships, for instance, there's no doubt that people around you have idiosyncrasies and faults that bug the hell out of you. You also surely have faults that you wish you didn't have. But instead of focusing on these, focus on the positive. What is it about the other person or yourself that you like, admire, appreciate? Focus on that, encourage that, and expect that. So here's your third tip for focusing on the right things. Take your cue from overcomers. Look to others who've overcome obstacles and problems far greater than your own. Let their stories motivate and inspire you. Here's a short list of successful individuals who refused to focus on the rocks in their lives when things got really rough. Before becoming president, Abraham Lincoln's failures, his rocks in the road, are so legendary because there were so many. Henry Ford's first attempt at building cars ended in complete failure and bankruptcy. Walt Disney was cheated out of his first big business deal in New York, but that didn't stop him. Milton Hershey, founder of the Hershey Chocolate Company, had no formal education and failed repeatedly in his business attempts before finally hitting the right recipe. Dr. Martin Luther King overcame an attempted suicide and battled with an addiction to smoking to become a powerful spiritual leader and spokesman. Sir Ernest Shackleton, I've mentioned him before, the Antarctic explorer guy, after 3 failed attempts to rescue his men stranded in the Antarctic, finally succeeded in doing so with a borrowed ship from a foreign country. When Amy Purdy turned 19, she was rushed to the hospital in septic shock. The violent illness took her spleen, both kidneys, and both her legs below the knees. She was given less than 2% chance of survival and was placed in an induced coma. Now, with a kidney transplant and prosthetic legs, Amy not only survived, but went on to compete as a world-class snowboarder. Amy also became a successful fashion model and motivational speaker. She's appeared on Oprah, Dancing with the Stars, The Amazing Race, and gave a TED Talk that set the standard for future speakers. Focusing on stories like Amy's and others has the profound impact in our lives of turning our rocks in the road into insignificant pebbles. Take a good look at what you're focusing on because it greatly determines the course of your life and business. So, there you have it. If you're ready to make a real change in your business in 2019, start today by, first of all, subscribing to this show on Apple or Stitcher or Android or Google Podcasts or whatever. Number 2, please leave me a review. It's really helpful in getting the word out to other people. Apple likes it when people rate and review shows, and it puts it up in search results and things like that. And number 3, share it with a friend, a colleague, a coworker who you think would enjoy my episodes. So that's it. I look forward to seeing you next week in the next episode.